When Dr. Marcus Webb walked into the downtown pharmacy with his daughter, he expected nothing more than picking up her asthma medication and grabbing some groceries. But when he handed the pharmacist 2 crisp $50 bills, everything changed. The clerk's eyes narrowed. A whispered phone call was made. Within minutes, security had surrounded him. Then the officers arrived, slamming him against the counter, handcuffing him in front of his 12-year-old daughter Emma, and accusing him of passing counterfeit currency while cameras captured every humiliating second. The onlookers saw another black man caught red-handed. The officers thought they'd found easy prey, someone powerless to fight back. But Dr. Marcus Webb wasn't just any citizen. He was the deputy director of the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. And they had just made the worst mistake of their careers. Marcus had promised Emma a normal afternoon. After months of 14-hour days hunting international money launderers, he'd taken the day off to be present, really present for his daughter. Since losing his wife Catherine to cancer 2 years ago, these moments felt sacred. "Can we get the ingredients for Mom's brownies?" Emma asked as they walked through the automatic doors. Marcus smiled, the familiar ache in his chest softening. "Absolutely. Think you remember the recipe?" "Every ingredient," Emma said proudly. "She made me memorize it." They navigated the aisles together, Emma chattering about her science fair project while Marcus listened, soaking in her enthusiasm. At the pharmacy counter, he collected her prescription, then moved to the checkout with their basket of groceries. The cashier, a middle-aged white woman with pinched features and suspicious eyes, scanned their items mechanically. When Marcus pulled out his wallet and extracted 2 $50 bills fresh from the bank that morning, her entire demeanor shifted. She held the bills up to the light, turning them slowly, her lips pressing into a thin line. Marcus felt the familiar tension creep into his shoulders. He'd experienced this too many times before: the automatic assumption, the unspoken accusation. "Is there a problem?" Marcus asked, keeping his voice level for Emma's sake. The cashier didn't answer. Instead, she pressed something beneath the counter. Within seconds, 2 store security guards changed direction, heading straight toward them. "Dad?" Emma's voice carried a note of worry. "It's okay, sweetheart," Marcus said softly, though his pulse had already quickened. He placed a protective hand on her shoulder. The security guards arrived, followed almost immediately by 2 police officers who seemed to have been waiting nearby. "Too nearby. Too ready." "This gentleman tried to use counterfeit bills," the cashier announced, her tone dripping with certainty. Officer Jake Patterson, a stocky man with cold eyes, stepped forward aggressively. "Sir, we need you to step away from the child and place your hands where we can see them." "Officer, there's been a misunderstanding," Marcus began, his FBI training automatically kicking in. "Stay calm, de-escalate, protect Emma. Those bills are legitimate. I withdrew them from my said hands where I can see them." Patterson barked, already reaching for his handcuffs. "Dad." Emma's voice cracked with fear. Marcus raised his hands slowly, deliberately. "I'm a federal agent." "If you'll just sure you are," Patterson's partner, Officer Lisa Chen, cut in sarcastically. She moved toward Emma. "Sweetheart, step away from him." "Don't touch my daughter," Marcus said firmly, the professional veneer cracking slightly, when Patterson struck. He grabbed Marcus's arm, twisting it viciously behind his back. Marcus instinctively resisted to maintain balance, and Patterson used that as justification to slam him face-first into the checkout counter. The impact split Marcus's lip, blood dripping onto the conveyor belt. Emma's screams pierced the store. "Stop. You're hurting him. Dad." The cold steel of handcuffs bit into Marcus's wrists. Patterson's knee pressed into his spine, grinding him harder against the counter while other shoppers pulled out phones, recording everything. "Got yourself a nice little operation, huh?" Patterson sneered in Marcus's ear. "Teaching your kid the family business? Passing fake money at pharmacies? That currency is real," Marcus managed, tasting blood. "I'm deputy director of the FBI Financial Crimes Division. My credentials are in my wallet." "Right. And I'm the president," Chin mocked, pulling Emma away despite the girl's desperate attempts to reach her father. They dragged Marcus upright, parading him toward the exit while Emma sobbed hysterically. Every customer's stare felt like a brand. Every phone camera another wound. Marcus caught glimpses of his daughter's terrified face as Chin forcibly held her back. "Please," Marcus called over his shoulder, abandoning pride for his child's sake. "She has asthma. She needs to stay calm. Just let me tell her I'm okay." "Should have thought about your kid before committing crimes," Patterson said, shoving him through the automatic doors. Outside, the bright afternoon sun felt like a stage light illuminating his humiliation. They pushed him toward a patrol car, its lights flashing silently. Behind them, Emma's cries continued, each one stabbing deeper than any physical pain. "In you go, Professor," Patterson said mockingly, noting Marcus's university sweatshirt. He roughly forced Marcus's head down, pushing him into the back seat. Hope your fake money was worth traumatizing your kid. The door slammed. Through the window, Marcus saw Emma break free from Chen's grip, running toward the patrol car. A store manager caught her, holding her back as she reached desperately toward her father. As the cruiser pulled away, Marcus watched his daughter's face twisted in anguish, disbelief, and betrayal, until she disappeared from view. 12 years old, having already lost her mother, now watching her father taken away in handcuffs, the officers had no idea what they'd just unleashed. The interrogation room smelled of industrial cleaner and old coffee. Marcus sat handcuffed to a metal table, his split lip still bleeding, while Patterson and Chin stood over him like predators circling prey. "Where's my daughter?" Marcus asked, his voice controlled but sharp. "Who's with her?" "Store security's babysitting," Patterson said dismissively. "Maybe child services will show up. Depends how long this takes." Marcus's jaw tightened. Emma, alone and terrified, probably having an asthma attack from the stress. Every second in this room was torture. "Look," Chen leaned against the table, adopting a false sympathetic tone. "Make this easy on yourself. Tell us where you're printing the bills, and maybe things go easier for you. For your daughter. Engraving and Printing, Series 2021. Serial numbers are registered in the Federal Reserve database. 5 minutes of verification would confirm that." Patterson laughed harshly. "Sounds like someone's done their homework. How many fake bills you think we've seen, Professor? You all have the same story." Marcus studied them both, noting their body language, their rehearsed routine. This wasn't incompetence. This was practiced. "I'm invoking my right to a phone call," Marcus said firmly. "Rights?" Patterson stepped closer, invading Marcus's space. "You're worried about rights after trying to scam honest businesses? The law requires you to allow one phone call. I'm exercising that right." Chin rolled her eyes dramatically, pulling out her phone. She made a show of checking it, then shrugged. "Phone system's down. Might be hours before it's working again." Marcus's hands clenched beneath the table. They were violating basic protocol, banking on him being powerless to do anything about it. "I need my wallet," Marcus said, changing tactics. "Check my identification." "Oh, we'll get to your fake IDs eventually," Patterson said. "But first, why don't you tell us about your operation? How long you been doing this?" For 3 hours, they continued. Refusing his phone call. Ignoring his requests for his credentials. Making threats about taking Emma away. Standard intimidation tactics, except they were being used on a federal agent who'd written the manual on interrogation techniques. Marcus used the time to catalog everything, their names, badge numbers, every procedural violation, every rights infringement. His FBI training had taught him to stay alert, observe patterns, document everything. They thought they were breaking him down. Instead, he was building his case. Finally, a different officer entered, older, with sergeant's stripes. He carried Marcus's wallet in an evidence bag. "All right, let's see what we've got here," Sergeant Williams muttered, dumping the contents onto the table. Marcus's FBI credentials landed face up under the harsh fluorescent light. Williams froze. His face drained of color. "What?" Patterson demanded, stepping closer. Williams's hands shook slightly as he held up the badge and ID card. "Federal Bureau of Investigation. Deputy Director, Financial Crimes Division. Dr. Marcus Webb." The room went completely silent. Patterson grabbed the credentials, studying them intensely, searching for any sign they were fake. Chen had backed against the wall, her earlier confidence evaporated. "There's been a terrible mistake," Williams stammered. "We had no way of knowing." "No way of knowing what?" Marcus interrupted, his voice quiet but carrying unmistakable authority. "That I was telling the truth? That the bills were real? That you should have followed basic procedure? Sir, if you'll just let us, where is my daughter?" Marcus cut him off. "Right now." Williams practically ran from the room. Patterson and Chin stood frozen, neither willing to meet Marcus's eyes. Within minutes, the station erupted into chaos. Marcus heard raised voices, slamming doors, the unmistakable sound of superiors arriving. The police chief himself burst into the interrogation room, his face flushed. "Tai Askew." "Dr. Webb," Chief Harold Brennan said, attempting a warm smile that looked more like a grimace. "I cannot apologize enough for this misunderstanding. My officers were simply being thorough. Bring me my daughter," Marcus said coldly. "Now." 2 minutes later, Emma was ushered in. She ran to her father, throwing her arms around him despite the handcuffs still securing his wrists. "Dad, I was so scared," she sobbed into his chest. "I know, baby. I know." Marcus held her as best he could, fury burning in his chest as he felt her trembling. "Are you okay?" Did anyone hurt you? They wouldn't let me come with you. They said you might be going to jail. They said, her voice broke. Everything they said was a lie, Marcus said gently, looking directly at Chief Brennan. And they're going to pay for every single moment they put you through this. Brennan cleared his throat. We'll process your release immediately, Dr. Webb. A simple administrative error that will clear up right away. An administrative error? Marcus's voice was like ice. Is that what you call 3 hours of illegal detention? Denial of phone rights? Physical assault? Traumatizing a child? Dr. Webb, I understand you're upset, but perhaps we can discuss this reasonably? Marcus stood slowly, Emma still clinging to his side. Get these cuffs off me. Get my daughter's medication. And understand something very clearly, Chief Brennan, this wasn't a mistake. This was calculated. And I'm going to prove it. Back home that night, Marcus sat in Emma's room, watching her finally sleep after hours of crying. She'd refused to let him out of her sight, terrified he'd disappear again. When she finally dozed off, clutching the stuffed rabbit her mother had given her, Marcus returned to his home office. His fingers flew across the keyboard, accessing databases only available to high-level federal agents. He started with the bills themselves, pulling the serial numbers from memory. The Treasury Department's response came back within seconds: genuine currency, printed 8 months ago, distributed to his bank 3 weeks prior. He'd known that, of course. But he needed documentation. Next, he pulled security footage from the pharmacy. The timestamp showed Patterson and Chen's patrol car circling the parking lot 15 minutes before he and Emma arrived. Then he accessed their body cam footage. It began only after they entered the store. The earlier footage, when they were positioning themselves, had been deleted from the local server, sloppy. They'd forgotten about FBI backup protocols that automatically archived all deleted law enforcement data. Marcus recovered it within 10 minutes. The conversation was crystal clear. Target entering location with juvenile female. Setting up intercept positions. Copy that. Let's see what this one's carrying. They'd been following him. Targeting him. Before any accusation, before any alleged crime, they'd already decided he was their mark. Marcus's jaw clenched as he continued digging. He cross-referenced Patterson and Chen's names against the Treasury Department's counterfeit investigation database. Both officers appeared. Those bills are genuine U.S. currency, Marcus stated clearly. Printed by the Bureau of repeatedly, 7 times in the past year, always accusing black shoppers of using fake bills, every case dismissed when the currency proved genuine. He expanded his search. More officers from the same precinct showed similar patterns. Always black victims. Always false accusations. Always dismissed charges. This wasn't isolated incidents. This was systematic. His phone buzzed. An encrypted message from his assistant director at the FBI saw the video. Are you and Emma okay? What do you need? Marcus stared at the screen, then at the mountain of evidence accumulating on his computer. He thought of Emma's tear-streaked face, her trembling voice asking why they hurt him, why they wouldn't listen. He typed back, "We need to go deeper. This is bigger than 2 racist cops." Over the next week, Marcus worked around the clock while keeping Emma close. She'd started having nightmares, waking up screaming that police were taking him away. The school counselor recommended therapy. Emma refused to let him leave her sight long enough for him to drive to the FBI office, so he worked from home, assembling pieces of a puzzle that grew more disturbing with each discovery. His colleague, Agent Maria Santos from Treasury, sent encrypted files showing a pattern across 12 cities, false counterfeit accusations disproportionately targeting minorities, particularly at chain stores in black neighborhoods. The accusations created arrest records even when dropped, damaging credit, employment prospects, housing applications, but the financial trail revealed something darker. Marcus traced the arrest statistics to county contracts with private corrections facilities. Higher arrest rates meant more inmates, which triggered bonus payments to the county. Those payments flowed through shell companies back to specific individuals: Chief Brennan, the district attorney, county commissioners, even some judges. They'd built a pipeline. Arrest black citizens on fabricated charges, pressure them into plea deals, feed them into private prisons, collect kickbacks. Emma's voice startled him from his concentration. "Dad? You're doing it again." Marcus looked up from his computer, realizing he'd been grinding his teeth. "Doing what, sweetie?" "Looking angry. Like you did at the pharmacy." Emma stood in the doorway, her small frame silhouetted against the hallway light. "Are you okay?" He opened his arms and she came to him, climbing into his lap like she used to when she was younger. "I'm okay, Em. I'm just working on making sure what happened to us doesn't happen to anyone else." "Will those cops go to jail?" Marcus hesitated. He'd always promised to be honest with Emma, something Catherine had insisted on. "I don't know yet. But I'm going to try very hard to make sure they face consequences. Good. Emma's voice was fierce, more mature than any 12-year-old should sound. Because what they did was wrong. Really wrong. After putting Emma back to bed, Marcus received a call from an unlisted number. Dr. Webb? My name is Jordan Mitchell. I'm an investigative journalist with the National Gazette. I've been tracking similar incidents for 18 months. We need to talk. They met at a secure location, a safe house used occasionally by federal witnesses. Jordan Mitchell was younger than Marcus expected, maybe early 30s, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. I've documented 43 cases matching your experience, Jordan said, spreading files across the table. Always minorities, predominantly black men. Always false accusations, counterfeit money, stolen goods, drugs planted during stops. The charges either get dropped or reduced to misdemeanors, but the damage is done. Marcus studied the files, his anger building with each case summary. A doctor accused of stealing his own prescription pad. A lawyer arrested for fraud while depositing his paycheck. A teacher detained for shoplifting items she'd clearly purchased. But here's where it gets interesting, Jordan continued, pulling out financial records. I've been tracking money flows through public records. Chief Brennan and DA Samuel Thornton both have consulting contracts with Consolidated Corrections Corporation. They also sit on boards for companies that service private prisons, food vendors, security systems, medical providers. They're profiting at both ends, Marcus said quietly. Feeding the system and getting paid for it. Exactly. And your arrest threatened everything. A high-profile federal agent with the resources to investigate? They couldn't have that. Jordan pulled out another document. This memo went out 2 days after your arrest. From Brennan to all precinct commanders, increased scrutiny on counterfeit currency, especially large bills in minority neighborhoods. Marcus's eyes narrowed. Doubling down instead of backing off. They're trying to normalize it. Make it look like legitimate law enforcement instead of targeted harassment. Jordan leaned forward. But here's what I need from you. Your security clearance gives you access to federal databases I can't touch. Interstate financial transactions, sealed court records, FBI surveillance data. You're asking me to use my position for a personal vendetta, Marcus said carefully. I'm asking you to use your position to expose systematic racism and corruption that's destroying communities. Jordan's voice was passionate. How many families have suffered what yours did? How many are suffering right now while we sit here? Marcus thought of Emma's nightmares. Of her question, will those cops go to jail? I have conditions, he said. Everything we do is by the book. No illegal surveillance, no unauthorized access. We build a case that will stand up in federal court. Agreed. And we protect the victims. No exposing people who've already been traumatized unless they consent. Absolutely. Marcus pulled out his secure laptop. Then let's get to work. For 2 weeks, they built their case. Marcus used his FBI access to trace financial connections, uncover sealed records, and document the systematic pattern. Jordan interviewed victims, compiled testimony, and connected dots that spanned multiple jurisdictions. They discovered the scheme ran deeper than anyone suspected. Not just one precinct, but a network across 7 cities in 3 states. The same private prison corporations, the same financial arrangements, the same pattern of targeting black communities, but building the case required Marcus to be visible, to continue his normal routines. That's when the threats began. The first arrived via email to his personal account. Drop your crusade or your daughter learns what real fear is. Marcus immediately escalated security. FBI protection for Emma. Secure transport to and from school. But the messages continued, each more specific, each demonstrating they were watching. Then his office was broken into. Files stolen, though they were decoys Marcus had planted deliberately. His car was vandalized. Unknown vehicles followed Emma's school bus. The final straw came when he found a manila envelope on his doorstep. Inside, photos of Emma at school, Emma at soccer practice, Emma walking home with friends. Each photo marked with a red X. Marcus called Jordan immediately. They're escalating. They know we're close to something. I'm getting pressure too, Jordan admitted. My editor received calls from the mayor's office threatening legal action if we publish. Suddenly, my sources are going silent. Someone's coordinating, Marcus realized. Someone with enough power to pressure media and intimidate federal witnesses. The question is who? Marcus pulled up his network analysis, the web of connections between all the players. One name appeared repeatedly, linking everyone, District Attorney Samuel Thornton. He sat on corporate boards with Chief Brennan, had family connections to prison company executives, and controlled which cases got prosecuted. It's Thornton, Marcus said. He's the hub. take him down and the whole network collapses. But how? He's got immunity for his prosecutorial decisions. Marcus smiled grimly. Prosecutorial immunity doesn't cover racketeering, civil rights violations, or conspiracy. We just need proof he's actively coordinating this scheme. That means getting inside his operation. Or getting someone on the inside to turn. Marcus's break came from an unexpected source. A paralegal in the DA's office named Rachel Chen, no relation to Officer Chen, reached out through encrypted channels. She'd worked for Thornton for 5 years and had finally seen enough. They met in person, Rachel trembling with nervous energy. He keeps records of everything, she said, sliding a flash drive across the table. Financial transactions, arrest quotas, even instructions to judges. He thinks he's untouchable, so he documents it all. Marcus plugged the drive into his secure laptop. The contents made his blood run cold, spreadsheets tracking arrests by race. Memos directing officers to focus on black neighborhoods. Communications with private prison corporations discussing inmate pipeline optimization. Financial records showing millions in kickbacks disguised as consulting fees, but the most damning document was a video file, a recorded meeting between Thornton, Chief Brennan, and executives from Consolidated Corrections Corporation. We need to boost our numbers in Q3, one executive said. The new facility needs to hit 85% capacity by year end to trigger the bonus clause. My officers can deliver, Brennan assured him. We've identified optimal locations for increased enforcement. Thornton nodded. And I'll make sure the cases move quickly. Minimal bail, pressure for pleas, maximum efficiency. They were literally discussing human beings as inventory. As product to fill their for-profit prisons. Why are you giving this to me? Marcus asked Rachel. Because I watched my brother get caught up in the system, she said quietly. Arrested on a bogus drug charge, pressured into a plea deal, sent to one of their facilities. He's been out for 2 years and still can't find work. Can't get an apartment. His life is destroyed. She looked at Marcus with fierce determination. I can't undo what happened to him. But maybe I can stop it from happening to others. Marcus clasped her hand. You just gave us everything we need. But before Marcus could move forward, they came for him at his home. It was 2 a.m. when the door exploded inward. Armored figures poured through, shouting commands, weapons drawn. Marcus was already moving, his FBI training taking over. He'd slept in clothes every night since the threats began, keeping Emma's door alarmed. FBI. Get down, he shouted, holding up his credentials. We have a warrant, someone yelled back. Tampering with evidence and obstruction of justice. Marcus activated the emergency protocols he'd installed. Steel shutters slammed down over windows. Panic buttons alerted the FBI's crisis response team. He moved swiftly to Emma's room, finding her already awake and terrified. Dad, what's happening? She cried. Remember our drill, he asked calmly, guiding her to the reinforced panic room he'd constructed. You stay here. Don't come out until I give the all clear or until Agent Santos arrives. Understand? I'm scared. I know, baby. But you're safe here. I promise. He kissed her forehead and sealed the door just as the SWAT team reached the hallway. 2 officers rushed him. Marcus's FBI defensive tactics training kicked and he redirected the first officer's momentum into the wall, disarmed the second, and used pressure points to drop him to his knees without serious injury. Stand down, he commanded. This is an illegal raid on a federal agent's residence. We have a warrant signed by Judge Morrison, the team leader insisted, though his voice wavered. A local warrant doesn't supersede federal jurisdiction. You're committing a federal crime right now. Marcus kept his hands visible but ready. I'm armed, but I don't want anyone hurt. Back out now and this can be resolved. His phone, protected in his pocket, was already transmitting to FBI headquarters. Agent Santos's voice crackled through his earpiece. Marcus, backup is 3 minutes out. Federal judges are issuing emergency injunctions. Just hold them off. The SWAT team hesitated, their body language shifting from aggressive to uncertain. Team leader, Marcus addressed the commander directly. In 90 seconds, federal agents will arrive. You can either withdraw now and claim you discovered the warrant was invalid, or you can face federal prosecution for violating the civil rights of a federal officer. Your choice. The commander's radio crackled. Marcus caught fragments. Abort. Thornton says pull back, emergency injunction filed, fall back, the commander ordered his team. Clear out. Now. As they retreated, Marcus stood in his destroyed living room. Furniture overturned. Emma's drawings torn from walls. The stuffed rabbit Catherine had given her shredded and left on the floor like a message. When he opened the panic room, Emma burst out crying. They destroyed everything, she sobbed. They broke Mom's rabbit. Marcus held her, feeling her entire body shake with fear and rage. Looking at the destruction around them, the violation of their safe space, the systematic attempt to terrorize them into silence, something shifted in him. They'd crossed the line. They'd come after his daughter again, and no more waiting. No more playing by their rules. It was time to end this. Within 48 hours, Marcus coordinated simultaneous federal raids across 3 states. He personally led the operation targeting the central hub, Thornton's office and Chief Brennan's precinct. The raids were surgical. Marcus had spent years leading anti-corruption task forces, and he applied every lesson learned. At dawn, federal agents burst into DA Thornton's office, freezing his computers mid-shred, catching him literally destroying evidence. Marcus personally arrested Thornton. Samuel Thornton, you're under arrest for racketeering, conspiracy to violate civil rights, and public corruption. He leaned closer as he cuffed him. You threatened my daughter. You destroyed my home. But mostly, you destroyed hundreds of innocent lives for profit. I hope it was worth it. Simultaneously, other teams hit Chief Brennan's office, Judge Morrison's chambers, and Consolidated Corrections Corporation headquarters. They seized servers, financial records, communications, everything. Patterson and Chen were arrested at their homes. Marcus made sure their perp walks were thoroughly documented, just as they documented his humiliation at the pharmacy. The evidence was overwhelming. Rachel Chen's files provided the roadmap, and the simultaneous raids prevented any coordination to destroy evidence. Financial records showed millions in kickbacks. Videos proved conspiracy. Internal communications demonstrated systematic targeting of minorities. Within a week, the arrests had expanded to 17 police officers, 5 judges, 2 county commissioners, and multiple corporate executives. 6 months later, Marcus testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee. The hearing room was packed with journalists, activists, and families who'd been victimized by the scheme. Senator Williams gavelled the hearing to order. Dr. Webb, you've submitted extensive documentation of systematic corruption. Please summarize your findings for the committee. Marcus took a deep breath, thinking of Emma sitting in the gallery behind him, and began. Senators, what I'm about to describe isn't just corruption. It's a systematic machine designed to convert racial prejudice into profit by destroying black lives. He walked them through everything. The false arrest patterns. The financial kickbacks. The deliberate targeting of minority communities. The video evidence of Thornton and Brennan literally discussing human beings as inventory. This wasn't random racism, Marcus explained. This was organized crime hiding behind badges and judicial robes. They built a pipeline, create pretexts for arrests, pressure innocent people into plea deals, feed them into private prisons, collect kickbacks. They turned the justice system into a for-profit business with black citizens as the product. He displayed financial records on the chamber's screens. District Attorney Thornton personally profited $8.7 million over 6 years. Chief Brennan received $6.2 million. These numbers represent thousands of destroyed lives, families torn apart, futures stolen. Senator Jackson leaned forward. Dr. Webb, you were initially arrested on completely fabricated charges. How did this investigation evolve from your personal experience into uncovering this broader conspiracy? When they targeted me and my daughter, they made a critical mistake. They assumed I was powerless because of my skin color. They didn't know I had the resources and clearance to investigate. But here's what haunts me, Senator, I was lucky. I had federal credentials, political connections, investigative skills. How many others suffered the same treatment but had no way to fight back? He gestured to the gallery. They're here today. Fathers who lost jobs because of false arrest records. Mothers who couldn't get housing because of fabricated charges. Young people whose futures were stolen because they were profitable inventory for a private prison. The room erupted in applause. Senator Williams didn't try to stop it. When order was restored, Marcus delivered his final statement. I came here not just as a federal agent, but as a father who watched his daughter traumatized by the system meant to protect her. As a black man who's experienced too many similar incidents. As an American who believes our justice system should be about justice, not profit margins. He looked directly at the cameras, knowing millions were watching. The evidence before you proves that racism isn't just prejudice, it's been monetized. Turned into a business model. Black lives have literally been assigned dollar values in spreadsheets. And it happened because good people stayed silent, because the system protected itself, because we accepted that this was just how things were. His voice strengthened. But it doesn't have to be. We can dismantle these corrupt networks. We can rebuild trust in law enforcement. We can create a justice system that actually delivers justice. It starts here, with accountability. The hearing ran for 6 hours. By the end, The committee had voted unanimously to recommend federal prosecution of everyone involved in mandatory oversight of police-private prison relationships nationwide. 18 months after his arrest at the pharmacy, Marcus returned to that same store with Emma. She was 14 now, taller, more confident, healing from the trauma with therapy and time. "You sure about this?" Emma asked as they pulled into the parking lot. "I'm sure," Marcus said. "We don't let them take our spaces. We don't let them win." The pharmacy had changed. New management. Diversity training certificates displayed prominently. A community board showing their support for racial justice initiatives. As they walked through the entrance, the manager approached immediately. "Dr. Webb? I'm Daniel Martinez, the new manager. I just want to say, what happened to you was inexcusable. We've implemented new policies. All staff undergo bias training. We partner with community organizations. We're trying to be better." Marcus nodded. "I appreciate that. Change requires action, not just words." "I know. And sir, your prescriptions and purchases are always complimentary. It's the least we can do." "That's kind, but unnecessary," Marcus said. "I'm here to demonstrate something to my daughter. We don't need special treatment. We just need to be treated like everyone else. With respect. With dignity. With the assumption that we belong." At the pharmacy counter, a young black woman greeted them warmly. "Hi there. What can I help you with today?" Marcus collected Emma's prescription, then they shopped for groceries, including ingredients for Catherine's brownies. At checkout, Marcus pulled out two $50 bills. The cashier scanned them without hesitation, smiling as she made change. "Have a great day." Outside, Emma took her father's hand. "Dad? I'm proud of you. Mom would be too." Marcus felt tears prick his eyes. "I'm proud of you, sweetie. You were so brave through all of this." "You taught me that," Emma said. "Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you do the right thing anyway." They loaded groceries into the car. Around them, the parking lot buzzed with normal activity. People shopping, living their lives, no longer afraid that the simple act of using legal currency would result in arrest. "Dad?" Emma asked as they drove away. "What happens now?" Marcus thought about the ongoing trials. Thornton and Brennan were facing 20 years each. Patterson and Chen had already been convicted. The private prison corporation was under federal investigation. Hundreds of false convictions were being overturned, but more importantly, the conversation had changed. People across the country were examining their own jurisdictions, looking for similar patterns, demanding accountability. "Now we make sure this never happens again," Marcus said. "We stay vigilant. We speak up when we see injustice. We teach others to do the same." Emma was quiet for a moment. "That's what Mom used to say. That one person standing up can change everything. Your mother was a wise woman. She'd say you proved it." At home, they baked brownies together using Catherine's recipe. As they worked, Marcus's phone buzzed with news alerts. The Senate had passed the Justice Accountability Act. New federal oversight of police-prison relationships. Mandatory reporting of arrest statistics by race. Criminal penalties for systematic civil rights violations. It wasn't everything. It wasn't enough. But it was a start. That evening, Emma asked to watch the Congressional Testimony footage. Marcus hesitated, but she insisted. "I need to see it," she said. "To understand what you did. What we did." They watched together, Emma occasionally squeezing his hand during the difficult parts. When it ended, she looked at him with fierce pride. "You didn't just fight for us," she said. "You fought for everyone. That's what your mother would have wanted. What she raised me to do." Emma hugged him tightly. "I know what I want to be when I grow up." "What's that?" "Someone who doesn't bow to bullies. Someone who stands up even when it's scary. Someone like you and Mom." Marcus held his daughter close, feeling the weight of responsibility and the warmth of hope. They'd been through hell together: the false arrest, the threats, the fear, the violation of their home. They'd both carry scars from it, but they'd also seen justice prevail. They'd watched a corrupt system exposed and dismantled. They'd proven that truth, persistence, and courage could overcome even entrenched power. "You already are that person, Emma," Marcus said softly. "You already are."